The next production for Headgate Theatre Productions is Equus by 𝗡cie𝘃𝗲𝗄, which is on at the Headgate Theatre between 13th and 16th of November, and I'm talking to co-directors Sharon Carter and Toby Roberts about the play and how people can get to see it. Hello Toby, hello Sharon.
Hello,
Hi
thanks
there.
for having us.
Right, Equus is a very successful and critically acclaimed play by 𝗡cie𝘃𝗃𝗄, both here and on Broadway. For those of our listeners who may not have come across it before, can you give us an outline of the story and the characters we are going to meet?
I'd describe it as a psychological drama. The catalyst of the story is an alarming event that involves horses. But the play is really much more about bigger issues such as sex and religion and work and social ethics and protocols.
So in Equus we follow a psychiatrist who's really trying to unpick what led this young man to commit this unusual and violent crime. And in the play we meet people central to the psychiatrist's lives and to Alan's life and the complicated relationships they have with one another.
Okay, so the way the horses are portrayed is key to the play's story and the emotions in it. How have you two decided to portray them?
What's unique about this play is that the entire cast are on stage throughout the entire play. So the horses are there, and we were very keen to avoid the panto horse because this is quite a serious play. So we've created a technique that allows them to participate in the play, but without being there. It's more a sort of a representation of horses rather than horses per se.
In the auditions and our workshops and through the rehearsal process so far, we talk a lot about this idea of capturing the essence of horse. As Toby said, we didn't want people whinnying and trotting around stage, so it's really just trying to physicalise the essence of a horse, and that's what we're trying to achieve with our lovely people playing the horses.
Now the play deals with a range of human emotions, including desires, pleasures, violence and rage, including controversial content. How have you approached that with your cast?
Well, my background is in film, and to be honest, I've not taken the subject any differently than I would with any of my actors that I've worked with before. One of the things as a director that you really need to do is to capture the emotion of the script and the characters, and so there's no one way. You talk to the actors, you talk through what they're saying, what it is that's said between the lines, and you kind of address it bit by bit. But there's nothing. It's not like we've had to address things specifically. It's just an umbrella that covers all of the emotions that the actors go through.
And we've worked really hard, and we made this really clear when we were casting about building trust among the cast, building rapport. And so before every rehearsal, we always do some kind of game or exercise that's either related to the content we're going to look at in that particular rehearsal or some of the themes. And we keep a really open dialogue with the cast. We listen to their ideas. We have conversations about what we think is working. And I think that's been really important. And we talk to them about their characters and why they're behaving in certain ways. So it's a kind of a common understanding between us all about getting to those difficult scenes in a way that everyone feels comfortable and happy with.
Now, do you have, as directors, scenes that you most enjoy or have anticipated staging?
Personally, for me, the most enjoyable part of the process is the rehearsals. Full stop. I absolutely love it. We get to know each other, we spend time with our cast, and obviously Sharon and myself as well, and I love it. I actually love it more than I love the production. And so, to me, there isn't a single scene that stands out as being the best one. To me, the utter delight and pleasure, and the reason I do this is to spend time with like-minded people who are trying to make the best play possible.
And I did a degree in device theatre many years ago, and a lot of the work I really enjoyed was the more sort of visual theatre, avant-garde, people like Robert Wilson, and so I've really brought a lot of that to this, and I think very visually, so I think with music and with colour and with image and with smells, and that's what we're trying to achieve in this our interpretation of Equus. So there is one scene, a very critical scene towards the end of the play that I've had a very, very strong vision from the start. And we're actually looking at that scene very shortly, so I'm really looking forward to that rehearsal process for that particular scene.
Now, there was a film version of Equus starring Richard Burton and Peter Firth. Peter Firth made the part famous on stage as well, didn't he? And a revival on the West End and Broadway stages in the late noughties with Richard Griffiths and Daniel Radcliffe in the lead roles. Now, have these figured in your research and preparations for this staging?
Yeah, they were both incredible productions, and I was actually going to watch the film again, having seen it many years ago, but decided against it because I thought it would influence my creative decisions, and I didn't want that to happen. I wanted this to become fresh, so I avoided those, and it'd be interesting to see how it works out, whether they're close or whether they're hopefully slightly different.
For me, I haven't at all, no. And I think when you talk about Equus, I've met so many people who say, oh, that was a play that Daniel Radcliffe was in. Oh, and that's when, he got naked. And it's so much more than that. It's, Equus is such a fantastic play, and I don't think that people associating it with a famous actor getting naked does it any justice whatsoever. So I've stayed completely away from watching anything, because as Toby said, I really wanted to bring my own vision to it and just to give it the credit for the fantastic play that it is.
Yeah, that was again seen through the eyes of the tabloid press, isn't it? Who did make a big thing of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whereas you say, I've seen this play on stage, I've seen the film. It is a very powerful piece of theatre, it really is. Now, I know from my own experience that the technical side of a production is very important. Who's involved in these roles, and what challenges have you and they faced with the production?
Well, we've got the best on offer from the Headgate. We've got Mike Sullivan, who's been tremendous. We've got his wife, Isabel Sullivan, and we've got David Gilhooly on sound, who is a genius. So in terms of how we're dealing with the production side of things, we're very fortunate in having those people.
And obviously when you look at the original production, it's very complicated, this rotating stage, these vast space, which we don't have at the Headgate. So we've had to think really carefully about how we can replicate that in the space that we've got. That has definitely been a challenge. But again, it comes to the idea of just trying to achieve things through different ways of interpretation, like lighting and people moving in a slightly different way and presenting themselves in a different way. And so that has been quite a challenge, I think, trying to get that sense of scale in a much smaller space.
Well, thank you for answering my questions. Now the most important one. Remind people when and where Equus is on, and how do they get hold of tickets?
So Equus is on at the Headgate Theatre from the 13th to the 16th of November.
That's in Chapel Street in Colchester.
Tickets are selling quickly, so grab yours today by visiting headgatetheatre.co.uk.
And it's running from November the 13th to November the 16th, which is a Saturday, and we've got a matinee performance on that day, as well as the evening performance.
And we will put a link of that onto the Colne Radio website and social media pages. Thank you, Sharon and Toby, for taking the time to talk to Colne Radio. Wish you all the success with Equus.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having us in this remarkable studio of yours.